Well, hello, everybody. My name is Joe Calamino. I'm the State Director for the Illinois Chapter of Americans for Prosperity. Joining me today is Paul Orphanides from Judicial Watch. As many of you know, AFP is one of the premier free market grassroots organizations in the country. We're focused on issues such as budget reform, transparency, lower taxes, and less government. The Illinois Chapter of Americans for Prosperity was formed a little over 2 years ago. We're proud to say that we have 14,000 members throughout the state. Over the past 2 years, we've initiated an aggressive effort to identify waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer dollars. In March of 2007, we were in this very room where we announced our Mystery Pork Tour and the launching of our Pork Report website, both programs that have regularly highlighted the flawed process and how government spends our tax dollars. Those efforts, combined with the almost daily reports of wasted taxpayer dollars made by the media, inspired AFP to work with lawmakers to introduce House Bill 4765, the Illinois Accountability Portal, an online searchable website managed by the state to once and for all show us the spending. Now, House Bill 4765, under the leadership of Speaker Madigan, unanimously passed out of the House of Representatives. The bill then moved to the Senate Rules Committee, only to be stalled by the then Rules Chairperson, Senator Debbie Halverson. And after receiving hundreds of phone calls from AFP members, Senator Halverson eventually decided to become a co-sponsor of our bill. And unfortunately, this was on the same day that she was replaced as the Rules Committee Chairperson by Senator Ricky Hendon. I'm not going to stand here today to question Senator Halverson's motivation behind her sudden change of heart to support some sound public policy. But I will stand here today and point out that the Chicago Tribune recently wrote a wonderful article highlighting the questionable grants that Senator Hendon recently distributed in his own district. Not surprisingly, the Illinois Accountability Portal remains motionless in the Rules Senate Committee, and it's pretty obvious that under the leadership of Senator Emo Jones and Ricky Hendon, that any such desire for accountability and transparency in state spending will be met with less than open arms. For the last 16 months, AFP has worked in conjunction with Judicial Watch, filing numerous FOIAs in an attempt to identify hidden and questionable spending. We've been very successful in many of our efforts, and in fact, we're currently highlighting questionable spending of a specific fund daily on our Pork Report website. Not so ironic is the fact that the fund we're highlighting in the Pork Report, the Fund for Illinois' Future, is from the last capital spending program that government chose to burden taxpayers with, called Illinois First. Thankfully, lawmakers in the House have stalled the capital plan for various reasons. One of them is due to the lack of trust they have in the governor and how he appropriates taxpayer dollars. Of specific concern is the over $2 billion in undisclosed spending. That leads us to today. During the past 2 budget hearings, there's been a great deal of talk about member initiatives or pork projects for individual leaders, lawmakers, and or caucuses. Some say that the governors use member initiatives as a tool to either reward those that vote his way or punish those who don't. Either way, this hidden spending needs to be identified and eventually ended. Unfortunately, it shouldn't take a lawsuit to force officials elected by the people of this state to do the right thing, but it has. So today, we're proud to stand with Judicial Watch in support of their lawsuit against Governor Blagovich and Senator Emo Jones. Now I'd like to introduce you to Paul Orphanides from Judicial Watch. Paul.
Can you please spell Orphanides?
Certainly. Good morning. Paul Orphanides with Judicial Watch, Orfanedes, and I'm the Director of Litigation for the organization. Judicial Watch is a nonprofit public interest group that seeks to promote transparency, integrity, and accountability in government and fidelity to the rule of law all across the United States, largely through filing Freedom of Information Act, public records requests, as well as civil litigation. As Joe mentioned, for the past 16 months, we've been working with Americans for Prosperity in Illinois, trying to promote transparency, particularly in government spending. In February of this year, we filed Freedom of Information Act requests with the Illinois Senate and with the Office of the Governor, trying to uncover earmarks. This is dedicated spending, usually, well, not usually, spending requested by a particular legislator that a grant be given to a favorite nonprofit, charity organization. They're usually nonprofits from out of the budget, and we asked that The Senate produced these records to us pursuant to the Illinois Freedom of Information Act, which applies to the Illinois legislature. That's a bit unusual among Freedom of Information Act laws, but Illinois does make its legislature open to FOIA. The legislature refused to produce records. They told us that to the extent any such records exist of these earmarks, they would be the property of the individual legislators and not the Senate as a whole. We obviously take exception with that. We're talking about $2 billion in spending of the taxpayers' money. It's difficult to conceive how these things could be considered private correspondence of individual legislators. It's spending the public money. It's actually what it does is it directs an Illinois agency to spend a specific sum of money in a specific way. Those clearly have to be public records, and if they're not, it's a very educational moment, if you want to put it that way, for the people of Illinois to know that they're not entitled to be told how their money is being spent. When the Illinois Senate denied our request, we appealed to Senate President Jones. Senate President Jones affirmed the decision not to produce the records to us, and so we are filing suit. We filed suit this morning, seeking an injunction, a court order requiring the legislature to produce these records, as well as the declaration that the Senate has violated Illinois Freedom of Information Act. At the same time, we also had served a similar request on the Office of the Governor, seeking to have the Governor produce any records he has about these earmarks. The Governor failed to respond. We got nothing in response at all from the Governor. The failure to respond under the law is actually deemed a denial, so we took an appeal. We asked the Governor personally, because the Governor is being the head of the Office of the Governor. It's a bit of a technicality, but that's how it works in the law. We asked him consider our request. We again got no response whatsoever. So we have also sued the Office of the Governor and the Governor this morning, asking the court to order him to produce any records he has about these earmarks.